G'day everyone, Dane here from Clarkey's Rugby League column. Welcome to Clarkey Reacts. Today we're looking at all the news from the 7th of September. If you've come from the Facebook or Instagram slides, thank you for being here. If you've come from the Instagram story, thanks for being here. And if you've come from TikTok as well, thank you for being here. I spread the news far and wide every day for you guys. I really enjoy it. It's something I've done for over a year now, officially, but dating back to when I was 17 in high school, every day I would look at all the news every day and stuff like that. So it's pretty much been my whole teenage life onwards, basically. I love footy. I love talking about footy, and I appreciate you guys being here. Let's open up with discussion about Kevin Walters, guys. So Broncos head of football, Ben Ikin, admits Kevin Walters needs to answer tough questions as the club prepares to conduct end-of-season interviews to determine where it all went wrong. That was via Peter Bedell from the Courier Mail. Interesting one here. Because I think if the Broncos knew where it went wrong, then they would have addressed it. They would not have gone from a top 4 side to falling outside of the top 8. I think the interviews make a lot of sense. From what I understood reading the article, it's players and coaches conducting the interviews. So they haven't singled out Kevin Walters here per se. It's part of an end of season, I guess, function that the club performs, and they're going to, ask every single person involved in the club where it went wrong. And it's something they've got to look at because I can't, off the top of my head, remember the last time a team was in the top 4 and fell outside of the top 8 at a later point in the season like the Broncos were. I can remember the Dragons going from 1st to 8th a few years ago, but not a team falling out of the 8 completely. Where I think it went wrong for the Broncos, I don't think it's Kevin Walters' fault. I think the players really struggled to get back up after the Origin period. They just never really had that same energy, it seemed, afterwards. They did get a few wins sporadically after the Origin period, but they just didn't seem themselves. Everything they were building towards as a team just really went away, and it's hard to put my finger on it. If I had to take a guess, I would guess the Origin period, but I don't know for sure, guys. It's a tough one to answer. Fiji Barty. Fiji Barty have today named a 33-man squad for the World Cup. Their squad includes Api Coruscant, Regan... I'll tell you what, let me just read you the whole squad here because it was on the NRL website. I've got it here on my phone. So, players within their squad, the 33-man squad. We've got Wonga Blake, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Tui Kamakamitha. I'm not sure how to pronounce this name. Vuate Karavawalu. Level. I really don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry, he's from the Roosters. Viliami Kiko, Apasai Kodasal. I'm not sure there. Joe Lavadua. He was formerly in the NRL. You got Isaac Lumi. Mosadriki. I'm not sure if he's made his debut for the Cowboys, but he's a great player as well. Tane Milne, shown his versatility, can play lock or in the backs for them. Kevin Naigama, Ben Knuckle. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name either. Knucklebuwai. He did play for the Titans as well. I'm going to pause and apologise if I'm butchering last names here, guys. I am so sorry. I'm not Fijian, so I am struggling to pronounce some of these names. Sandrugu, I believe he plays for the Cowboys as well. Don't think he's made his debut yet. Saifidi brothers. Pioseki, we saw him make his debut for Manly this year. Corbin Sims, be interesting to see the old veteran back there. Tarek Sims, Mike Sivo, Sunia Taruva, Semi Valame, King Vuniyaya, who used to play for the Warriors, Brandon Wakeham, and Swia Wong, who is a young gun at the Roosters, which a lot of people have a lot of tickets on. Now, I would have to go through that squad more carefully to give you guys a 1 to 17. It's definitely something I want to do, but it's a relatively strong Fijian squad. Off the top of my head, I think they've named all their elite players that are eligible. I can't think of anyone that's not in that squad, if not for injury, that would be available. So, one key takeaway here, they are in Pool B, so they will face Scotland and Italy. I see them beating both of those nations. They have a warm-up match against England before the World Cup on October 7th. And they will versus Australia for their opening match. So I believe they will lose to Australia. I believe they will beat Scotland and Italy after that, which should mean they go to the finals if for and against is in their favour. I believe 2 teams from Pool B go forward. And the other key thing I'd like to point out here, guys, just because these players have all been named for Fiji does not mean they will play for Fiji. They've simply been named. Api Coruscant, we know he wants to play for Australia, and someone like Daniel Saifiti, who was eligible for Samoa and Fiji, has come out and said that he doesn't want to play in the World Cup, so we'll have to see what happens there. Very, very strong Fiji side regardless. Kalyn Ponga, the Knights captain, has officially withdrawn himself from potential selection for the Australian Kangaroos in the World Cup. This makes sense. I mean, Kalyn Ponga got through 7 full games this year, and I know a lot of Knights fans are frustrated that he kind of prioritised the Origin period over being the captain of the club. Being a Queenslander, I literally loved it. My God, he was superb in that Origin series, particularly Game 3 where he was untouchable. I think if we were doing a merit Australian Kangaroo squad, which I did do, I put him on my wing just to make room for him somewhere. You couldn't leave him out of the squad with how well he played in that Origin series. But if we're talking realistically, I wouldn't play him on the wing for the Australian Kangaroos. And I don't think he's going to be the fullback because I think that would go to a man called James Tedesco. That leaves the 14 jersey. I think that could be Harry Grant if Ben Hunt starts at 9. It could be Ben Hunt if Harry Grant starts at 9 or Cook. The 14 could be Nico Hines, Matt Burton. I think there's a few options ahead of KP, and so with him withdrawing here, I don't think he was going to be selected to begin with. But I mean, at least we know now 100% Kalyn Ponga out of the World Cup. That was from Alicia Newton from the NRL website. Just going back to Fiji real quick, guys, that was from Brad Walters from the NRL website also. Apologies there. This one's from Paul Kent from the Daily Telegraph. Taylor May. Paul Kent has questioned the NRL's integrity regarding the delayed ban issued to Taylor May. The Panthers wing will serve a 2-game suspension in 2023 rather than the finals. It is some of the most embarrassing decisions the game has ever made, Paul Kent said. I guess I just reiterate what I said yesterday on this, guys. I'd appreciate and I'd like someone from the NRL to come out and say, this is why we made this decision. I think it's because the incident occurred last year during grand final celebrations, and so as far as the NRL are concerned, it's just poor timing. He's now been found guilty and therefore unfair to ban him. I'm of the opposite opinion. I think if you do the crime, you do the time regardless. And if you're unhappy with the timing of being found guilty, then just don't get found guilty in the first place. Don't put yourself in that situation as an NRL player. Don't assault people. I'm sure Taylor May's a great young kid though, and he will learn from this 100%. But I can't disagree with Paul Kent either, sorry guys. I think this is a little bit of a hit on the NRL's integrity just because they haven't fully explained it, and it's leading to people like me speculating, trying to find out why it might be. Latrell Mitchell, real interesting one here, and I can see a lot of people taking this the wrong way and kind of having a go at Latrell, which is unfortunate. I hope that's not the case. I've always sort of stuck up for Latrell throughout his career, to the point where you guys always give it to me and say that I love him and stuff like that, but I just think he's a really good person on and off the field mainly. On the field, he's massively competitive, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like him. But you need that, that competitive edge that he has is what makes him one of the best players. Latrell Mitchell has taken aim at Roosters fans who booed him last round. He says it is part of the game, but he did say, every run was a bit disappointing. It is effing crap, to be honest. Substitute word there. Adam Goodes gave up his career because of it. This was via Martin Gabor from the Daily Telegraph, sourcing those quotes. But just to have a closer look at this, I'm sure he didn't mean it too deeply with the Adam Goodes thing. He was probably just throwing out an example there of what booing can do to someone and how it can affect someone mentally. But I can see a lot of fans grabbing this and sort of being like, oh my God, he's likening his situation to Adam Goodes. He got booed once. Goodes got booed for 18 months. And I have watched all the documentaries regarding Adam Goodes. A few years ago, I came out with a take regarding the NRL ad. And I said that we shouldn't have Latrell Mitchell holding the Aboriginal flag. We should have every nation's flag that plays in our game. And I said, because at the end of the day, this isn't the National Aboriginal League, this is the National Rugby League, which was, at the time, I didn't see a problem with it. But then speaking to some of my Aboriginal friends, they said, hey, watch these documentaries, understand, educate yourself why what you said's wrong, why that's offensive to us. And I did. And part of that was watching the Adam Goodes documentary, and I started to realise how unfair some of the things were that have happened to him and other Aboriginal people in this country. I digressed massively there, but ultimately, I hope people don't focus too much on the last part of that quote. I guess that's my key takeaway there. I think he was just offering an example rather than likening his situation to it. And ultimately, I'm going to support Latrell regardless. So maybe I have a biased take there, but that's my 2 cents on that one. Sam Walker, we got some news regarding him. This was via Adrian Prozenko from the Sydney Morning Herald. Luke Keary has declared his halves partner Sam Walker can be as good as Cleary. Of course, referring to Nathan Cleary there. Keary does admit, though, he's got all the stuff to be that guy. And to be that guy, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of consistency over a long period of time. We probably won't find out for 4 or 5 years. And I agree with this. I think if you compare Sam Walker for Nathan Cleary skill for skill, Cleary's probably a little bit of a better goal kicker, a little bit of a better game manager, a little bit of a better captain, a little bit of a better halfback. Everything Sam Walker does well, Nathan Cleary does better. But Nathan Cleary is the best halfback in the world right now, in my opinion, and Sam Walker is still a teenager. I'm just going to double check that, but I believe Sam Walker is still 19 years old. And when Nathan Cleary came in when he was 19 years old, Sam Walker is 20 years old. But we can't forget, when Nathan Cleary came in as a teenager or a young gun, he had a bad season, and everyone wrote him off and thought, oh well, hype's over. This could happen to Sam Walker too. He's still very young. He is showing a ton of promise, but that doesn't always translate to a long and successful career in the NRL. But I do agree with Luke Keary. I think it will take 4 to 5 years here to know for sure. And I do see a lot of potential in Sam Walker. And I could definitely see a world where 4 or 5 years from now we're saying maybe he's not the best halfback, but he'll be top 3. When we had halves like Cooper Cronk, when Sean Johnson was at the top, when DCE was playing fantastic footy, and there was a few other examples. It was back in the day, it was sort of unknown who the best halfback was. I think now it's pretty clear cut. It's Nathan Cleary. But young players like Sam Walker coming through are definitely going to put pressure on him in years to come. Brody Croft. Now, we did speak about him a few weeks ago on Around the League. He was the Super League Halfback of the Year, which was quite impressive. I mean, you look at someone like Jackson Hastings. He went over to the same side, Salford, and now you look at him back in the NRL and he's playing great footy as a halfback. I just thought the move for Brody Croft to the Broncos was the wrong move of his career. I was so up and down. I had different takes about it, and now I have the benefit of hindsight, so maybe I'm being biased there, guys, but I just think it was the wrong move. He wasn't ready to step out of the shadow of playing in a spine of Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, Cameron Munster, and sometimes with Cooper Cronk there. He wasn't ready to step out of that shadow and be the main man that the Broncos needed him to be. And so to go over to the Super League and hone his craft is fantastic. We've seen it happen with Jackson Hastings. You can go over there, hone your craft, and come back a much more polished player. If I was Brody Croft, though, I probably wouldn't want to be returning to the Knights. Just because, you look at Jackson Hastings, he was the halfback of the year over there. He's come back to the Tigers, hasn't been able to help him. But then, is there really many elite squads that are going to be lining up to sign Brody Croft as their main halfback, given how his stay at Brisbane went? I think the Titans could use him. If I was the Tigers, I'd be looking at him if I lost 2 of the 3 that they have. If I was Manly, I'd be looking at him for a 5/8 role there. But if he does sign as the halfback for the Knights, as we now know, Tyson Gamble is there next year, so it adds a few different options there in the halves. It could be Jake Clifford and Brody Croft, or it could be Tyson Gamble and Brody Croft. And then, of course, you would have Adam Clune there in depth. Whether he came in at the 6 or 7, it wouldn't really matter. He plays his game. So yeah, if he does go to the Knights, I don't think it's the worst signing in the world. I would probably just be cautious if I was Brody Croft going there. Going from being on top of the Super League to a bit of a harsh reality of going to the Knights, who are currently a bottom 4 side. But a Tyson Gamble, Brody Croft halves combo could look really good. They're both young, exciting players. So if I was the Knights, ultimately, I would pursue this signature. If I was Brody Croft, I would be cautious about signing with the Knights. Here's some really interesting news for Tigers fans. Now, incoming West Tigers coach Benji Marshall. I need to go back real quick, guys. Sorry, that story was from Tony Adams, the Mole, Wide World of Sports. This story here is from Dean Ritchie from the Daily Telegraph. Incoming West Tigers coach Benji Marshall has contacted Cameron Munster to discuss any interest in signing with the club. Munster confirmed to the Daily Telegraph. He responded to that text by telling Benji, look, mate, I'll have a think about it. I don't think Cameron Munster's thinking about this. I think Cameron Munster's very smart in the fact that everything is going well for him in Melbourne at this stage. He's the best 5/8 in the game. And if he was to leave, it would be with the Dolphins for ridiculous money. But the other catch is his partner, who he has a young daughter with, her family's all from Queensland. Now, It sounds like if he's going to do one or two things, it's going to be stay in Melbourne because his family is settled there, or up and move to Queensland so that he has his family around him as a support network, playing under Wayne Bennett on huge money at the Dolphins. I'm not sure how, as the Tigers, you could genuinely convince Munster to sign with your club. There's no success. There's no roadmap to success. There's no plans in place. The current plan is a coach, Tim Sheens, who they previously let go for not being good enough, returning, with Benji Marshall with 0 games to take over. Could work, but we don't know. We're speculating based on our biases whether that's going to work for the Tigers or not. You could maybe use a selling point, come and play in a spine with Api Coruscant, with Isaiah Papali'i on your edge. But again, if you're Munster, I don't see the appeal in that. I think the appeal for him will come one of two things: staying in Melbourne, going to the Dolphins. So I think his response to Benji saying "I'll have a think about it" was purely just out of politeness. He did also say in the article he has a massive amount of respect for Benji. And so I think that's the reason he probably didn't just say, "Hey, mate, not interested." The other key reason is this just drives up his asking price. Now he can go back to the Dolphins of the Storm and say, well, Tigers are interested now. They're offering 1.1 mil. Can you beat it? His price is just going to keep going up and up and up. So in the end, Cameron Munster is the winner here. The West Tigers will not sign him. That is my official prediction. Des Hasler's management is reportedly set to meet with the Sea Eagles CEO and a chairman tomorrow, which could decide his future at the club. This is by David Riccio at the Daily Telegraph. What we know here is, or what's reported here, is that Des Hasler will not be present at the meeting. It will be the Sea Eagles' new CEO and chairman, I'm not sure on either of their names, and Des Hasler's manager. They're all going to get in a room and discuss. It's reported, and the key topic there is going to be Des's future at the club. The club recently told him that they want a bunch of clauses in his contract and to remove all of his current assistant staff and to put in their own assistant coaches there. And it was basically said, if you don't agree to it, Des, then the reports had more or less suggested he'd be sacked. There is trouble in Manly at the moment, but I'm not sure what sacking Des Hasler will fix. Tom Trbojevic came out on Channel 9 News and said that all the players love him. They love playing under him. Maybe he's lying, but I don't think so. I mean, I can only take Tom at face value. He seems like a very honest dude. So from what we know, the Manly players like him. Let's say they do sack him. The only appropriate coach to potentially take over is Shane Flanagan. Why this won't work? When Shane Flanagan took over the Sharks and made them successful, their salary cap was completely available for him to manage it however he wanted. He built that roster. He's not building nothing at Manly. I'll tell you why. Because Jake Trbojevic is on 900,000, Cherry Evans is on 1.3 mil, and Tom's on 1.1 mil. There's 1/4 of your salary cap right there. You think when he went to the Sharks, the only player he had on big money there was probably Paul Gallen. And a few others which contracts were finishing up. And so I don't think there is an appropriate coach right now to take over from the Manly Sea Eagles, for Des Hasler, that is. If I was Manly, I'd be staying patient, giving Des another year, because the last time Des had a healthy Tom Trbojevic, Manly finished 5th, I believe. 5th or 4th. I believe they finished 4th. And so the proof is in the pudding, right? He can make the finals. I'm not saying he can win the grand final, but he can make the finals, which is what you judged off whether your season was successful or not. Give him another year. Do not rush into things, Manly, unless there is a clear replacement in the fireworks, which in this instance, I don't think there is. So that's my thoughts there. And that wraps up all the news, guys. Only 9 pieces today, so it was a very, very quiet day. This video is going to run for under 20 minutes, which is awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you are liking this new series, Clarkey Reacts. My intent is to keep it how it is. Slow-paced, a discussion. Get out of my face, Fly. I don't want to be trying to copy an NRL 360 and raising the tone, raising the voice. I don't want to be anything but me on this video. And I want you guys to have it in the background and preferably listen whilst you're cooking dinner, going to the gym, laying in bed after work or school, whatever it might be. And so for that, I hope you guys are enjoying it, because I'm really looking forward to this. I've had a lot of fun so far in the first 2 episodes. And with that, guys, I will see you all again tomorrow with Clarkey Reacts for all the news then. If you want a shorter video than this, check out all my links below, guys. Shorter videos on TikTok. Nothing on Twitter, don't use it. Facebook and Instagram, daily content every single day. YouTube, well, you're here already. Oh, here we go again. There you go. You're here already. Thanks, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again tomorrow with more footy discussion and news.